Hello everyone, my name is Angie and welcome back to my channel, Angie Rose Nomad, and I am filming this video directly after my last video. The lighting has shifted a little bit, but I'm going to see which one I like better and use that going forward. This video is going to be books that I gifted to myself in December, so basically my December book haul, aka the last book haul of 2019. So all throughout 2019, I was supposed to be limiting my book buying, and I thought I did great, really. I was doing fantastic, and then December rolled around, and everything just kind of went poosh. And I blame my local library. The first stack we're going to go through is things that I found in the Friends of the Library bookstore attached to my local library. I found 9 books. 9 books that I have been wanting to read and just haven't picked up for whatever reason, aka I haven't found them cheap enough. The first book is The Lilac Girls. This is by Martha Hall Kelly, and this is based on a true story. We are following 3 different women. So let's see. We follow Caroline Faraday, who is a former British actress. We are following Kasia Kuzmarek, a Polish teenager, and Herta Obenhauser, a young doctor in Germany, and how their stories intersect, what they're going to be doing to kind of help the women in World War II. Caroline will eventually go on to champion for these women that were in concentration camps during World War II, and I am very interested in this story. Next up, we have The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. I'm going to read the back of this to you guys because it is really short. It says, "This is a profoundly compelling portrait of the perfect English butler and of his fading insular world in post-war England. At the end of his 3 decades of service at Darlington Hall, Stevens embarks on a country drive, during which he looks back over his career to reassure himself that he has served humanity by serving a great gentleman, but lurking in his memory are doubts about the true nature of Lord Darlington's greatness and graver doubts about his own faith in the man he served." Sounds really, really good, and I've heard great things about this. So next we have a book that I need to know who donated to the library. I really need to find this person because it seems like we have one crucial thing in common, that our dogs are very similar. You see in this book here, there are some teeth marks right up there in the corner. You might not be able to see them very well. Yeah, maybe it was a cat, but I'm going with a dog. Actually, could be a cat. But this is The Other Einstein by Marie Benedict. We are following the story of Mitza Merrick, I believe her name is, who eventually goes on to marry Albert Einstein. And there's this struggle if there is room in a marriage for 2 people to be equally great, because she was great in her own right. So next up we have Bel Canto by Ann Patchett. In this book we're in South America in the vice president's house throwing this really lavish birthday party when terrorists wielding guns burst in, and things could go downhill. But rather there are friendships formed between the terrorist and the hostages, as well as between people from different countries. So it says on the back that friendship, compassion, and the chance for great love lead the characters to forget the real danger that has been set in motion and cannot be stopped. I initially heard about this on the podcast What Should I Read Next, and I have this huge massive list of books that Anne has recommended, and finally found another one to add to the collection. So this is definitely happening this year. And then I have a book by an author that I have been meaning to read for a really long time, and that is The Cuban Affair by Nelson DeMille. So I've heard really good things about him and his ability to craft an entertaining story, and I finally found this book and decided, why not? Let's do it. The last books from the library, I'm going to be going through them rather quickly, so I'm sorry for not including much of a description. They're going to be part of a project I'm working on coming very soon. But I have 4 books to show you, and the first one is Her Every Fear by Peter Swanson. These are all thriller books, by the way. I Know You by Gilly Macmillan. The Perfect Wife by J.P. Delaney, and can we just appreciate that I still have the crinkles? So whenever I get a book that still has the little cellophane on it from the library and I'm reading it, I'm always making the crinkly sound. the whole time. I'm pretty sure it's annoying for everyone else, but for me it is very therapeutic. And then the last book that I found at the library is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sagar. In 2019, I read Lock Every Door, which was my first Riley Sagar book, and enjoyed it, and I wanted to read more. So the rest of these books are books that I was just randomly collecting throughout the month of December, and the first one is called The Date. This is by Louise Jensen, and in this book, Allie has recently been divorced and decides that she's going to get back in the dating pool. She decides that she's going to put herself out there and try something new, and she gets ready to go on a date on Saturday night. She goes on this date and then wakes up Sunday morning and something is wrong. She is hurt, but she has no memory of what has happened to her, cannot recognize her friends or her family or the person that's trying to take her down. And then I picked up Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I really wanted to read this one. I am not going to kid myself and say I'm going to read so many classics in 2020, because whenever I try and do that, it just doesn't work. I set myself up for failure. So if I read more classics, great. If not, okay. You know, I just might not be a classics person, and that's okay. But I've heard amazing things about this, and it sounds really, really good. So I decided I would go ahead and give it a shot. So next up we have Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and this is about two friends named Victor and Eli who meet at college, and they're both studying the same thing. They're, learning about adrenaline and near-death experiences and things with the paranormal. So their research leads them to the conclusion that under the right set of circumstances, people can develop these superhuman abilities, and things kind of take a downhill turn from there. Next, I have a book that I checked out from the library and I did not get time to finish. I was still interested in it, but that is called The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This book got so much hype when it first came out, and I really liked what I read, but like I said, didn't finish. Now that the second one is out, maybe I can plow through this one and then check the second one out from the library. So this next book I actually have two copies of, and that is Paris by the Book by Liam Cullinan. I have this book here, and then I have the book that I just checked out from the library. And when I checked it out from the library, I was looking at it in my car like, didn't I just recently purchase this book? Yes, I did. So I can return that one so I don't get any more late fees. But I'm just going to read the back because it sounds super interesting. So it says, when eccentric novelist Robert Eady abruptly vanishes, the only clue left behind for his family is 4 unexpected plane tickets to Paris. Hoping to uncover more clues and her husband, Leah sets off for France with her daughters. Upon their arrival, she discovers an unfinished manuscript, one Robert had been secretly writing, and that he had set in Paris. The Eady girls follow the path of the manuscript to a small, floundering English-language bookstore, whose wary proprietor is eager to sell. Leah accepts the offer on the spot. As the family settles into their new Parisian life, they trace the literary paths of beloved Parisian classics, hoping the books will lead them to Robert. But a series of startling discoveries forces Leah to consider that she may not be ready for what solving this mystery might do to her family, and the Paris she thought she knew. So I have another thriller here, and that is Watching You by Lisa Jewell. It says, someone knows what you did. Next up, we have someone who is quickly becoming an auto-buy author for me, and it's Kristen Hanna. This one is True Colors. I really don't know much about this book, but with Kristen Hanna, I really don't need to. I have found that I will just read her books anyway and love every second of it. She really has a knack for beautiful storytelling, strong relationships between women, as well as accurate relationships between women, and just being able to transport reader into her world. So I'm on board. So next up we have The Flight Girls by Noelle Salazar. This is about a group of women who are pilots during World War II. Our main character, I don't remember her name, it's Audrey. She has always known that she wanted to fly. Like, nothing was going to get in her way and stop her dream from coming true. So she works her butt off and finally becomes a pilot, and then is in Hawaii when Pearl Harbor happens. So she joins up with the Women's Air Force Service Pilots program and kind of flies during that, but she does have a love interest who has gone missing, and it says that she's going to go into the front lines of the war, so we shall see. So the next 3 books are by the same authors. I have been on a huge binge of their works recently, cannot put them down, and I've been collecting them. Especially in December, I was collecting them. The first book we have is My Favorite Half-Night Stand by Christina Lauren. Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren, as well as Roomies by Christina Lauren. These books are written by the best friend team of Christina Hobbs and Lauren Billings, and they are my go-to romance at the moment. I don't really read a lot of romance, but these, I cannot put them down. They're like candy to me, you guys. Next up, I have the same book, only it looks a little different, and that is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is the 25th anniversary edition, Hufflepuff edition, mind you. Not Slytherin, because I'm not a Slytherin, I'm a Hufflepuff. But we also have the Gryffindor edition, which came in this amazing cellophane that I am going to be requiring from now on whenever a book is shipped to me. The sender automatically needs to send it wrapped like this, just to avoid any nicks and cuts. And the very last book is right up my alley. This is probably one of the ones that I'm most excited about, and that is Conviction by Denise Mina. I'm going to read the inside cover to you guys because I can't do it justice. I really can't. So it says, the day Anna McDonald's quiet, respectable life explodes. Starts off like all the days before. Packing up the kids for school, making breakfast, listening to yet another true crime podcast. Life. That's my life. Without the kids is, okay. Until her husband comes downstairs with an announcement and Anna is suddenly, shockingly alone. Reeling, desperate for distraction, Anna returns to the podcast. Other people's problems are much better than one's own. A sunken yacht, a murdered family, a hint of international conspiracy. But this case actually is Anna's problem. She knows one of the victims from an earlier life, a life she's taken great pains to leave behind, and she is convinced that she knows what really happened. Then an unexpected visitor arrives on her front stoop. A meddling neighbor intervenes, and life as Anna knows it is well and truly over. The devils of her past are awakened and in hot pursuit. Certain she has no other option, she goes on the run and in search of the truth with a washed-up musician at her side and the podcast as her guide. Sounds so good. So good. So these are all the books that I hauled in December of 2019. I want to know if you have read any of these and what you have thought of them, or what you hauled in the last month of 2019. Can't believe it's already over. It's crazy. It just seems like it flew right by. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to become part of the tribe if you have not already. Bye!